Hey there, nutrition and wellness students. This video is to go with the Google site we're going to make for vitamins and minerals for our week 6 assignment. And I'm excited about this. I think if we all do a good job, this could actually be a really cool database to kind of share with friends and family, like, hey, what are you learning in that Soapy Connect class? Well, some stuff about proteins, carbs, and fats, hopefully, maybe about nutritional labels and what they actually mean, and peeling back some layers on that. But also this would be a great thing to show. Hey, check it out. We learned a bunch about vitamins and minerals, or at least I did a deep dive on one, and we built this web page with a lot of data on, where to get them and what they're good for, and what happens if you don't have them, and so forth. So I'm just going to take you through how to build a Google site. All right. And this is going to be a little bit of a lengthy video, so feel free to skip around and look for the parts that you think you could use some help with and just understanding how to do. And if you already know how to do Google Sites, there's not a need to watch this video. You can just go ahead and copy the example that will already be finished on the site that I'm going to show you how to build right now. Okay, so here I am on the web page. This is the landing page when you navigate to it. And I'm going to go ahead and click Pages over here on the right-hand side. And then I'm going to scroll down to find my particular mineral in this case, which is selenium. And if you, signed up on the Google Sheet, then you'll have yours already selected. If you didn't sign up yet, then please go there and don't take one that's already taken, right? So I'm going to navigate there, and you'll see I've put my name, and you should put your name at the top too, so we know who created each one. We can take pride in our work. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to click Insert, and I'm going to sort of like put in a couple of different things here, okay? First of all, I'm going to put in a text box underneath. So I just click there and click text box. It's going to insert. Now, of course, you can mess around with the text box and get like a font and a size that you're happy with. I might like to type more like 12 point, maybe even more like 16 point. We'll see. I can always resize it. This is going to be where I'm going to put in some kind of background information on selenium. Now, I'm totally fine if for this project, we kind of go and use sources. You'll notice I've got all kinds of sources I've searched up ahead of time. And I posted some in the assignment, including this one, which is the Harvard School of Public Health database on nutrition called the Nutrition Source, which is really quite good. So I've already got my selenium article open. When you navigate to that page, you can just go to the search bar and search for your vitamin or mineral, and it will be easy to find the page on it. I'm quite certain that all of them have a page in this database, which is great. Now, I'm going to say for the introductory paragraph, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. It is absolutely fine to go and take this and just quote from it, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and I'm going to paste it in here. And I'm going to then just make sure that I'm crediting where this came from. So I'm going to put from Harvard School of Public Health, Nutrition Source. And then I'm going to copy and paste the link. I'm going to come back over here and highlight that title. I'm going to click Insert Link right here. And I'm just going to paste in the link that I copied. So now anyone who wants can just navigate there and see like, oh yeah, there we go. That's where it came from. And so again, totally fine that we do this, I would say. And again, if we want, we can let's say we think that font's a little bit small. We want to make it bigger. Maybe we can up it to like 14. That looks a bit better. And it's nice to have the smaller link there. So do think a little bit about design here. If you want to change the type of font, maybe better to keep it sort of consistent. And maybe now with that font, I want something more like 16 or something like that. Yeah, it looks good. All right. So that's pretty nice, right? But this is also like a little bit text heavy. So let's make sure that we're inserting something else kind of interesting here. Okay. And I'm going to let you play around with how you want to organize this. And I'm going to play around with it too. I think maybe underneath, before we get to this like text here, maybe right after it. Let's say right after it for now. And I might play around with that later. I'm going to go ahead and put in something called an image carousel. Okay. And in my image carousel, I've already selected the images that I might want. So I'm going to start off with like this cool one that kind of has like Scrabble letter looking selenium and a bunch of foods that are rich in it. I think that's a fun one to start off with. So I'm going to copy the image address. I'm going to pop back over to my web page. I'm going to click the plus. I'm going to do select image. And I'm going to do Google image search and type that in. Oop. By URL, sorry. Paste the URL of the image, got it, insert image, and I've got that in my carousel, right? And I'm going to go back over and say, maybe I want this one because it's cool and informative, right? And actually, you know what? That one's so informative, I'm going to save that for later. Let's do maybe this one, let's see. Yeah, this one, a little bit less info, just kind of for fun. We're going to put the one with more info in the main page so that one is always visible. So I'm going to pop back over, plus again, select image, once again by URL, paste that, oops. What I meant to do is copy image address, pop back over, paste that, and insert that into my carousel. Now you can also reorder these, so I want that one to come first. Now I will add more, but I don't want to go on forever here and waste all your time. So that's how you make a slide carousel. Keep inserting more if you'd like. I'd also suggest that you add captions for them, which will go at the bottom. So for this one, I might be like trace mineral selenium. And for this one, I might say, are you getting enough selenium? Here are some great sources, right? Now, when I insert that, you can see it doesn't look great at first. Basically, what I have to do is kind of drag it out to resize it, okay? And I can pull that out like this and get it so it's sized right. The sizing can be a little bit frustrating, so if that occurs, like, sorry about that, and keep messing with it until you get it in a way that feels good to you. If it's a little bit clunky, you know, play around with it and you'll get it figured out. I guess it's kind of pasted here. I think I'm going to want the carousel beneath the text, so I can easily just move it, right? And that kind of pairs it up really nicely. Now you'll notice like the way this actually looks in the web page then is if I enter preview mode, it's something that people can click through, right? And so what I'm going to ask you to do is to add at least 5 images that you think are cool and kind of varied. Maybe I want to get like a cool meal that includes a lot of selenium-rich foods, like a, you know, a seafood meal that is rich in selenium. You know, so you can kind of be creative with it if you'd like. Maybe I want to get a picture of like if there's a particular pathology, like some way that people develop a certain you know, set of symptoms if they are deficient in that particular mineral or vitamin. Maybe I want to put a picture of what that looks like as long as it's not an inappropriate thing to show, right? So I'll kind of leave that up to you, but I think that looks kind of nice. So now I've got my summary, I've got my slide carousel. That's cool. I'm going to exit the preview and go back to editing. Anytime you want to preview, you can click up here just to preview what your work is going to look like when the web page is published. Okay, next thing I'm going to want to do is click back over to my database. I'm going to want to get some more text. Definitely want to vary the text and the images. And so for sure, I'm going to sort of use this as a starting point. The recommended amounts, and then also the image that I liked before of top 10 foods rich in selenium. So I'm going to kind of combine that, and I'm going to use the text from here, recommended amounts. So I'm going to steal that from here, and I'm going to insert another text box down here and paste that in, and I can just copy the same citation that I used before. Once again, I'm going to keep this I'm going to keep this consistent. 16 point. And I'm going to paste that there. And we're good. Okay. So you can see this is a really trace mineral. That's one of the big things about it. You can actually overdo it on this, although, you know, it'd sort of be hard to. You'd have to be like taking a supplement and overtaking it or something. But it's quite a trace trace mineral in the diet. All right. So now I'm going to put in my image here. I'm going to copy this image address, click back over, insert an image, select. I'm going to go by URL, and I'm going to paste in the URL and insert that. And that looks quite nice. Now, let's say I kind of have an image here that I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to make it like so huge. Like that actually looks like the right kind of size. So maybe I can actually click this and I can insert a text box, and I can actually use this tool to move it right there. And now I'm gonna be able to put some text right next to this photo. So these are places where you can get a lot of selenium, right? And here's a nice summary of food sources of selenium, right? So you can see in many ways what I want you to do here is just to make the Harvard School of Public Health website, which is kind of really deadly boring, but very informative. But I'd like you to basically use the information from there to make a much nicer looking page where you're cherry picking the most important things that you want to share. You're not giving all of the details, and you're also putting in some nice imagery and so forth to go with it. And we're also going to add in some other info from other web pages too, right? So we're going to put that in. This list is too spread out for my liking, so I'm going to see if I can make that a bit better. Let's see. Maybe I can like, whoop. Let's see. First of all, let me change this to the right font. And maybe this doesn't need to be quite as large. Maybe I can do more like 14. And then let's see if I can in some way deal with the spacing here. Yeah. So we'll do maybe single spacing might help. And remove the space after the list. There we go. So you can see if you play around, I mean, I'm doing this like just, you know, kind of on the fly here, but if you play around with it, you can kind of figure out how to make it work, right? Now, you know, I might even want to like, these spaces are coming out smaller and kind of nicer. So if I decide I want to put that back in, I can. Oops. Maybe this will look nicer. So again, you just want to think about like how to make it look kind of nice. Oops. Cool. I think that looks really nice. Now these have links in them, and that's cool. I mean, we can leave that, the links that are there. That's fine. You don't have to. You can take them out. I leave it up to you. Again, do make sure that you are crediting. Whoops, forgot that I had that pasted. So make sure that you're crediting whether it's from the nutrition source or whether it's from a different resource that you're using. Make sure you're crediting appropriately. And we can size those. They look nice next to each other. And that's a really nice little spot that's like, how do I get enough selenium? Now, let's see. The other thing I'm going to ask you to do is to embed some a YouTube video. So I went and browsed around and watched a few. Please don't just go with the first one that you find. Some of them are like people trying to hawk their, you know, like supplements that they sell. And so they can actually be like misinformative. So I do want you to actually watch whatever you post If it seems a little fishy, like maybe ignore it if the person is just like, this is the best vitamin in the world, now buy my supplement. Or look in the description on YouTube. You might find them saying, hey, buy my supplement at this link. And that might be a nice little alarm bell if that's not the best resource. But this one is a pretty good resource, and it shows foods that are rich in selenium. So I'm going to go and copy that link. I'm going to go back over to my web page, and I'm going to go click down here and embed. And I'm going to go here, and it's automatically going to know that I want it to insert a YouTube video that can play in my web page. Okay. So I'm going to size it so that it's there like that. And I'm also going to put a text box right underneath it, and we center the text, make it a little bit larger. Like maybe I want like 12 point for this. Want to know more about where or why selenium matters and how to incorporate it into your diet? Check out this short video. That's the other thing is that, and I like to make this italics, maybe just to mess around a little bit with the variability in the design, also to catch people's attention. Maybe I want to say, check out the short video above, or whatever. All right, so now I've got my video embedded, and if people want to watch it, they can watch it. And again, I'll just make sure that I have I want to size it so that you can see the whole thing. So there we go. Drag it down so it looks good. Seems well embedded. Remember, I can always click preview up here to see how my web page is going to look when it's published. So we've got title, my name, a little bit of a summary on why selenium matters, my slide carousel that I'll have more on when I'm done, with the nice little captions. I've got recommended daily intakes, as well as the maximum amount that's recommended, the tolerable upper intake level. If you have one that can be overdone, make sure you include that there. I've got foods that it's found in. I've got a nice video on that, and there's my caption right underneath. So looking pretty good, right? Notice you can do this really fast. Like, these sites are actually pretty nice. This is a great thing to know if you ever have to make like a web page for a project. I mean, probably a lot of you have done Google Sites before, but if you haven't, it's really nice to know what you can do with it. Okay, so I'm going to click back out, and let's see. Maybe I'm going to click back through and just kind of think like right underneath here might be a good place for like a divider or something, just to sort of, show that we're switching from intake amounts to that different text. And maybe I even want like a divider down here too. Okay, so feel free to use that feature. Now, let's see, I've got my sources of it. I've got recommended amounts of it. I've got background info. Now what we want to know is what's the health outcome if you get plenty of this? What's the benefit of it? And what's the health outcome if you don't get enough of it, or if you overdo it, right? So here I've got this Healthline source that has a bunch of different reasons why selenium is useful. And we're going to see if they have like a nice summary here, because that would be way better. So yeah, here we go. Bottom line, critical role in metabolism, thyroid function, protects your body from damage caused by oxidative stress, boosts your immune system, slows age-related mental decline, et cetera, et cetera. And this feels like the summary here feels like a really good thing to end my page with. So I'm definitely going to take that, and I'm going to put it in a text box down at the bottom. Okay. Again, highlight that, try to give myself a consistent style. You don't have to use the same text as me. You're certainly welcome to use a different text size. 13.5, maybe a little bit small. So let's go up to 16 as I've been doing. And this, where we make sure we credit, this is from Healthline. So we're going to click back over, click down here, 12. I used Arial for the or I think I did. Let me check that. Yeah, it's Arial size 11. So we're going to keep it consistent. Arial size 11 for my citations. And then I'm going to highlight this and insert link to Healthline. And that's going to take the person right to the source that it came from. All right, and maybe I decide I don't really like the way that this is spaced out, and I decide that like I want to do something different there. But I actually maybe I think it's kind of cool. Maybe I just want to make it like a little bit of a different justification, or maybe I want to play with the size until I get it so it's like not wrapping. Like maybe that's better. That looks almost like poetry there. So maybe I decide that kind of looks better and when centered. Yeah, I like that. That looks nice. So again, play around. Like there's nothing you absolutely have to do, but try to make it look good, right? And it doesn't take too long to play around with a few different settings, a few different size fonts, a few different justifications, center versus left versus right versus whatever, and figure out what you think looks pretty good. Okay, so again, final thing, going back to what happens when you don't get enough of this. So here are kind of the symptoms, and I guess we'll include the top part there where it's notes that it's pretty rare, because most of the US, it has soil rich in selenium, so the food we're growing is going to have it, and we eat plenty of meat which tends to have selenium, so that's cool. So we're going to include that too. And again, we'll insert a text box. We'll move it up above that other one that I want to end with. And maybe for this one, I'm going to put a title on here. So maybe I want to go like 22. What happens if you don't get enough selenium? So I'll set to 16. And again, I'm going to just sort of edit this. So we're going to set this to that. We're going to set this all to, I think for this, something like 14 seems maybe okay. And for symptoms, I think we don't really need a laundry list like that. We're just going to turn it into a semicolon separated list, as opposed to taking up so much space with bullet points. Again, I leave it up to you how you want to do this, but try to make it look decent is the message. And I think for this one, we definitely want to summarize this with a title as well, maybe to keep it consistent. So again, we'll go, I think I did 22 for this one, right? Yeah, so we'll go back here and go to size 22, try to keep it consistent. Maybe we'll call this, what's the bottom line? The benefits of selenium in the diet. Maybe I want to make this centered as well. And then I'm feeling like there's too much text here. So maybe I want to put something in between. So I'm going to actually look up Keshan disease and Kashin-Beck disease. Okay, so I haven't even done this yet. So I'll just kind of click over here, Keshan disease and Kashin-Beck disease. And so we'll go here and click to images and like see what kind of a thing we can find. Now, again, with disease, like you can find all kinds of images of people who are deficient in vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, and it can look really awful. So I'm not suggesting you should pick something that's going to like be gross or like really kind of sad to look at. Like you're designing a web page here to inform people, so you might not want to just throw that at them, right? And if you do click it and you're like, whoa, I don't this is not going to be something I can find a good image of. Fair enough, right? But maybe this is worth scrolling through a little bit and trying to figure out if there's anything in particular that I can use here, right? So like maybe this kind of could be functional, or maybe I want to go with more of an X-ray type imagery because it's a little bit more approachable, let's say. So seems like a lot of this is like in the joints. Let's see, that doesn't really help with anything. Some of these are highly technical. So I might need to poke around for a little bit, and I might not find anything great here that really is suitable to include. Actually, this seems okay. I'm going to say this isn't particularly over the top. And we see characteristics of Caschen-Beck disease. With this, I might want to include, if I can click to the article that's probably here, I might want to include the actual full figure here. So I can actually just copy and paste that, go over to my site, insert a text box, and I'm going to have the original text here. I can do single spacing, still kind of spaced in a weird way, so I might need to just change this back to my usual font here. Let's see if I can figure this out. Okay, well, that should be pretty much okay. So we'll kind of deal with that, I guess. And I'll play around with that on my own and see if I can figure out how to fix that, right? That's the kind of thing to kind of look through and just see if you can fix it. And then I'm going to go here, back to my image. I'm going to copy the image address, click back over, click right here, images, select, apply URL, paste that in, and insert that image. Maybe I decide that I want to do like size it like that. And I want to take this text box and I want to move it to here right alongside. And we'll see kind of how that looks. Yeah, and once I can figure out the spacing, I think that's going to look pretty decent there, right? So I think that pretty much does it. Again, this for if you're using a like literature or something like that, the DOI is actually the reference. So I don't necessarily need to put a link here because I've put the DOI. The DOI is kind of a permanent location that the research is located at. But if I'm concerned, I can also copy this and I can click over and say link and then just hyperlink and paste and apply. And now we're sure that we've got a link and we're beyond reproach. So I'll figure this out and resize a couple things, but this is roughly what you're going to see. And you can see this didn't take me very long. Like this actually isn't that long of a video considering what I've made. If I enter my preview mode, here's my page, right? I've got my cool image carousel that I'm going to add more images to with caption. I've got the recommended daily allowances and the upper tolerable limit if that's something that you have for yours. Some of them will have that, others might not. The foods that are rich in this particular vitamin or mineral, in this case mineral. I've got a cool embedded video that talks about foods that contain selenium, so I'm putting it there. If your video is on something different, or if you want to embed multiple videos, awesome. Like put them in the parts of the page where they make sense. Here's what happens if you don't get enough. Oh, and I forgot to put in my reference here, so I'll put that in. Good thing I'm checking over my work, right? So do check over yours. I've got this, which again, I'm going to figure out how to make the spacing right, and I'm going to change the text font here, I think, because it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb right now. But this kind of like, you know, here's what happens if you don't get enough selenium. And I've got that paired with that part. And what's the bottom line? The benefits of selenium in the diet. And you can see this is actually like, you could read this page in a very short amount of time, look at a bunch of cool images, watch a cool video, and learn a ton about Selenium in the time that it took me to make the page, more or less. So I hope this is a good example. I will, of course, leave this page is up on the Google site, so you can navigate to it. You can look at what I did. You can use it as a guideline and produce your own. I'm looking forward to reading what everyone produces. This should be a really cool resource if we all do a decent job on it. And you can see it's not that hard to do a decent job on it. So at any rate, thanks everybody. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you produce.